We've called a press conference today to announce our intention to file a lawsuit as of January 2nd, 2020, on behalf of 4 victims of one of the most notorious serial pedophile priests I've ever come across in 20 years of doing this work and representing hundreds of survivors of childhood sexual abuse against the Catholic Church. His name is Edward Anthony Rodrigue. He's dead. He spent 10 years in prison in Corcoran for child sexual abuse. He was a priest within the Diocese of San Diego and San Bernardino over a period of 29 years. He abused and molested, by his own admission, 4, 5 boys a year, which is an understatement for the period of time that he was a priest, an ordained priest. In fact, if you look at our board, at Our Lady of Guadalupe in El Centro, there were 13 victims alone that we know of in that at that parish where Rodrigue served for those years, for those 2 years or so. He was prolific, but what's worse is that the Diocese of San Diego, Bishop Marr at the time, had an avalanche of knowledge and notice of his propensities to abuse children.
Probably one of the reasons that I stayed as an altar boy was because there was a Anthony Rodrigue, which was a priest at the time, offered us, to go inside the place where he sleeps. We would go into the rectory, and he would offer us wine, and we would drink wine, and it was like a party for us. And then at the same time, there were instances when we would go to the rectory, and he would undress himself, and he would chase us around the house. He would go underneath our pants and how would I say it? He would fondle our penis and our testicles, and I believe there was an instance in that same room where he had Peter that he wanted us to touch him in his touch his penis. And there was instances that he was masturbating himself, and he literally ejaculated, and
one example of the result of the culture of sexual abuse that developed in San Diego is the story of Father Anthony Rodrigue. Rodrigue attended Immaculate Heart Seminary from 1956 to 1962, where he first provided the diocese with reason to believe he was unfit for the priesthood, being held back from ordination for 6 months due to his sexual immaturity.
I used to hang out with some other seminarians there that didn't have any visitors because their families were from out of town. And there was a group, either 3 or 4, that I would hang around with. And I was talking to them, and I said, I hear Anthony's having problems, academic problems, and he might not get ordained. And I believe it was John Gomes said, he doesn't have academic problems, he's got sexual immaturity problems.
After ordination in March of 1962, Father Rodrigue was assigned to Mary Star of the Sea Parish in La Jolla, California. In 1963, he began molesting children of the parish and was transferred in March of 1964. Over the next dozen years, Rodrigue was assigned to 8 different parishes and has been accused of abusing children at 4 of them. During this time, Rodrigue was assigned to parishes with accused pedophile priests Father John Keith and Father Paul Gill. In 1976, Rodrigue worked at Sacred Hearts of Jesus and Mary Parish in Heber, California. While in Heber, angry parents learned that Rodrigue had abused their children. The parents formed a group and headed for the church with the intention of lynching Rodrigue. Before the parents could arrive, Father Rodrigue was warned of the angry mob. He was taken out the back door of the church by a parishioner and transported to El Centro, where he was then sent to the Diocese of San Diego. Later, in 1976, a pastor assigned with Father Rodrigue wrote a letter to the hierarchy on behalf of 10 parents complaining that Father Rodrigue had abused their children. Finally, the diocese responded by sending Father Rodrigue to the House of Affirmation in Massachusetts, which was a known treatment facility for pedophile priests. When he arrived at the House of Affirmation, there was no place for him, so he was allowed to continue parish work for several weeks until he could be admitted to the treatment facility. After only 4 months of treatment, Rodrigue was assigned to a renewal program in Northern California. In 1977, he was assigned to St. George's Parish in Ontario, where he continued to sexually abuse children. Despite years of written complaints and subsequent treatment, there is no record of any notification from the diocese of Father Rodrigue's history of sexual abuse to the parishioners where he was assigned. A statement from a secretary, Margaret Shetler, at Our Lady of Soledad in Coachella supports this fact.
And at some point, and I don't remember the month, I was introduced to Father Tony Rodrigue. I was told by Father Rocky that Father Rodrigue was there because he'd been molesting little boys. He was staying there. I understood that he was going to be going to a treatment center. I thought he was leaving the priesthood. I was told that he was to be kept away from little kids.